So Subaru got hacked a few months back, and I thought this would be a perfect time to go through why JavaScript is so impactful in web application security. So this person was doing an audit on Subaru, and they wanted to test Subaru to see if there were any vulnerabilities. His person, Sam Curry, is a security researcher, and I'm not saying what he did was ethical because I don't believe it was. I think it was a very gray area, but it does show the impact of JavaScript in finding hidden endpoints. So he went on to Subaru and he started to look through different domains, and he found a domain here that looked a little bit interesting. He hasn't seen it before, and there was an admin panel associated with a few subdomains. So looking at the admin panel, he saw that there was a JavaScript file called starlinkenroll.js. And in this JavaScript, there was a forgot password functionality. It posts, it's got a content type of application JSON, and you need to supply three things: the email, the password, and the password confirmation as well. And this will essentially reset any user's password. This is a temporary, or an example HTTP request that Sam put together. And as the response shows, it shows an error, which essentially indicates we can now figure out whether or not a user is valid, whether or not, a password is the right length, or whatever the case may be in regards to the password policy. But there was also an admin endpoint, which after he did some JS looking into, there was another one called admin profile get security question.json with the email address. And that also showed user enumeration or email that is invalid. By replacing an employee's email address, he was able to retrieve whatever information is associated with that account based on the security question. So if he puts in evan.isaac@subaru.com, for instance, he would get something back like, what city were you born in? And by doing this and figuring out a person who has administrative access or who has access to this specific website, he was then able to successfully change that user's password on the admin dashboard, again, unauthenticated, using the email, the password, and then the password confirmation inside of the post request. And in doing so, he got the success message. This is great. Also, a little bit unethical because this is an actual user's account that he just overwrote, right? You're not supposed to be able to do that, but he did it anyway for proof of concept purposes. Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? Because remember that security question that we were talking about to authenticate and whatever? Well, here it is. He also got prompted to look for that answer of the security question that was associated with the user. However, because of the way that this whole system worked and the way that the modal was, all he had to do was this, and essentially it just changes the security question model to show and replaces it. So by doing that, it completely removes that layer of security, and he doesn't need to actually input anything in regards to the multi-factor authentication system that Subaru had in place. And with that, because he was an admin, he was able to access other people's information. So this is just his example, right, where he was able to access his own Subaru that he had located, but he also had his mom's information as well, where she was located, as well as really anything else that you can think of, his friend's car, whatever the case may be. And it was a pretty scary vulnerability, I would say. It just shows how impactful it is to read JavaScript. By reading JavaScript, you can find some crazy vulnerabilities, like hidden endpoints like that, where you can just reset a user's password completely unauthenticated, and then from there, log in as an administrator and access the website. Super crazy. Something that you don't really see too often, but yeah, I know that this is quite a short video, but I thought I'd share because when I first saw it, it was sent over to me by, I think, one of my coworkers, and I was fascinated. But the timeline says it all. They did a pretty nice job with remediating the vulnerability as soon as possible. So the initial report was done on 11/20, and then by 11/21 it was fixed. And that's a pretty good timeline, especially for this big of a company like Subaru. They definitely did a very good job making sure that this vulnerability was fixed, patched, so Sam can publish it for the world to see and to showcase his skill set. He posted on LinkedIn and got a ton of traction. A lot of people criticized him though on it because it is a little bit unethical the way that he did things. You are not supposed to be messing around with someone's actual account. I think that's a little bit crazy to do. I understand for proof of concept you want to show, but this is very gray. When you are doing bug bounty, make sure to read the scope, make sure to understand the scope. I could not find anything pertaining to Subaru having a bug bounty program or a vulnerability disclosure program. I didn't see anything associated with that, but maybe he had a connection into Subaru. I'm not entirely sure. This was a super cool blog to read. You can read the full blog down in the description below. This just shows the importance of why you need to read JavaScript files, because on applications, you'll be crazy looking through them. They're not easy to read, but they do have some crazy vulnerabilities within them if you could find them, such as hidden endpoints, or if, let's say, the JavaScript is being directly passed through and you can use and you can set a variable within, let's say, user input. You can then have DOM XSS. There's a lot of different things that you could do with JavaScript. This was probably the best example that I could think of when it comes to finding hidden endpoints in JavaScript. So that's all for this video. So if you did enjoy, please let me know in the comment section down below. And if you have any other kind of vulnerability similar to this, I would love to hear some stories, because not many times you come around seeing an unauthenticated vulnerability like this where you find it through JavaScript and then you figure out a way to bypass a modal. That's it. So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.